Bronze rank, the inglorious battlefield where no one sticks to the payload, and as soon as the spawn doors open up, your teammates can be turned into trash cans that can't hit a single shot. Being in bronze is like being stuck in a bucket of crabs, and I know this because over 60% of the players in this game are stuck in the lowest rank. Meaning if you can break out of bronze, it's like breaking through that layer of clouds when you're on the way up during your plane flight. And guess what? We found a way up and out. My girlfriend, who was hard stuck bronze 3, not just bronze, but like the very bottom of the pit of bronze. I watched her gameplay, I coached her, I saw all the mistakes that she was making and that her teammates were making, and in less than a week, she ranked up into gold. And today, I'm going to be telling you guys each and every one of those secrets. By the way, everybody, my name is Kobe. I was a master ranked player in Overwatch, and I am currently ranked higher than 95% of players in Marvel Rivals. I'm also your resident Punisher one-trick pony. If you're tired of random 1v1s with obscure DPS champions in back alleyways and you're ready to level up, then you've come to the right place. Over the last week, I have coached my girlfriend from the pits of bronze 3 all the way into gold, and we did that purely by focusing on her Punisher gameplay, and today I'm going to show you guys how we did it. First things first, let's talk about the turret. It's your personal bullet spewing best friend. Most bronze players throw it down once, watch it get obliterated, and then forget it even exists. This is totally wrong. You have to think of your turret like a loyal dog. If you leave it behind, it'll stare at you sadly. If you show it some love and keep redeploying it, it'll save your life more often than you'd expect. Your turret is your most consistent form of DPS. It has the most stopping power, and it is entirely central to your kit. You need to be spamming your turret. The enemy team will hate you for it. The first thing I want to talk about when using your turret is aggressive placements. This is your default mode. You're going to want to find predetermined spots on the map when you're on defense. Someplace that is away from the front line, that's on the high ground, that is hard to reach. This way you're going to be able to let out a lot of damage and stop the enemy team from gaining a lot of momentum in some crucial parts of the map. If you have your turret placed correctly, you have a long line of sight and a clear view of the objective. You're going to be able to put a lot of damage onto the enemy tanks. That's what the turret is good for. It's going to force the enemy team to sort of scurry away into the corners in darkness and not really have a strong grasp on the objective. The second way I want to talk about using your turret is as a backstop for spawn stagger. In bronze, one of the biggest problems I see is champions going in one at a time. We call this spawn stagger. Now, if your team just got ran through and you're trying to regroup, what you're going to want to do is set your turret up behind a choke point and around a corner. It's going to act as like the backline. This way, if your team starts getting pushed before you can fully regroup, at least you'll be able to hold off. And the last thing I want to talk about when using your turret is using it as a mini shield and for bonus HP. This turret isn't just for show. It acts like a portable barrier. Use it for cover when you're getting hammered by enemy ults. So the turret has like 520 HP. Basically can triple your HP for a short amount of time. It's excellent for countering enemy melee tanks, and it can even counter a lot of ults in the game, like Star-Lord's ult, Wanda's ult, Iron Man's ult. Sometimes it's your only way out. When you're playing Frank Castle, it's fitting that sometimes the best thing to do isn't to run, but it's to dig your heels in and shoot back. The second most important thing that you need to know when you're playing Frank Castle is how to use your zipline. This one I think it has a higher learning curve than the turret does, because the mechanics work a little bit weird. Really the best way to use the zipline is to hop off before you get to the end of your zipline so you can carry on your momentum. This way it can kind of shoot you like a slingshot and you can get some crazy amount of distances. So in my mind, there's 4 main ways to use your zipline. The first thing I want to establish before saying any of this is that you should have predetermined zipline spots. You should have places of high ground where you want to set up your turret before the match starts, and you should have exfil routes. Say you're getting swamped and dove, you can actually use your zipline to retreat. So you need to have predetermined spots so that you don't have to think about where to place your zipline. So the primary use for getting your zipline is, of course, to get high ground. High ground is good. It makes their hitbox bigger to you and your hitbox smaller to them. So you're going to want to occupy the high ground as long as you can maintain line of sight with your healers. The second way to use your zipline is to return to the fight faster after you die. There's some clever spots around the map where if you just get it on the right ledge, it can kind of fling you halfway across the map, and this can reduce your rotate time by like 20 seconds, and that might be enough to pop a crucial ultimate and save the point. The third way to use your zipline is to escape from danger. This is the most important one, and it's also the one I see being done the least. If you're getting dove by a melee champ and you just need to create a little bit of spacing to make sure that you're operating within your weapon's effective range, then you aim behind you, you shoot a zipline on a wall, and you press space, and you turn around and you start firing midair. It's a little bit of a tricky thing, but once you get that muscle memory down, you'll be able to do it very quickly. And last but not least, the fourth way to use your zipline is to collapse on the enemy backline. Let's say your team just popped an ultimate and got a couple kills. They're in disarray, they're scurrying. You can use the zipline aggressively and launch yourself into the enemy backline and use your shotgun to take out some of their squishier champions. All in all, the zipline makes Punisher an extremely mobile champion, and mastering the zipline is crucial to mastering movement on Punisher. The next thing I want to talk about is positioning. Before you go all Alice in Wonderland on me and chase a rabbit down the hole, I'm going to warn you that that hole only leads further into bronze. You're going to want to stay away from these back alley 1v1s as much as possible. And of course there's no absolutes. Of course there's scenarios where, yeah, they're low HP and they're trying to run away and you need to go finish them off. But for now, just focus on staying on the payload and sticking with the team. You can get more nuanced with this when you start to get into higher elos. Sticking with your objective and staying close to the objective and staying in front of your healers but behind the tanks is where you want to be. You want to be behind the tanks so they can hit the damage. You want to be in front of your healers so they can heal you, but also to make sure that you can see them, because your primary job is to make sure that you're laying down a good amount of DPS onto the enemy team as they're pushing you, but also to protect your healers when they start to get dove by enemy melee champs. One of the biggest mistakes I saw my girlfriend making with her gameplay was her cooldown management. If you're running into a fight with no cooldowns, it's like running into a nuclear blast zone with a water gun. It means that you're pointless and about to get annihilated. So you need to space out your abilities so that you have a consistent pressure on the fight and so that you're never out of options. Also, if your team just won a fight, you need to use that time valuably. Don't just sit in your half-stocked turret. Get out of your turret and start that cooldown timer so that you have a fresh one by the time the enemy team pushes back out. The other thing you're going to want to do in between fights is reposition yourself. Make sure that you have a good vantage point. Instead of spawning your turret in a random alley, use the quiet lull to pick a vantage point near the payload or a strategic choke. Then, by the time the enemy re-engages, you're locked and loaded and ready to put out some damage. Lastly, I just want to get a little bit wider, a little bit more abstract, and tell you guys how to get into Frank Castle's mind and embody the mindset of a killer. First things first, you're a front-to-back fighter. So that means that your job is to focus the enemy tanks, then the enemy DPS, then the enemy healers. As a counterexample, someone like Star-Lord or Iron Fist is a back-to-front fighter, meaning they're trying to pick off the enemy healers first and then go to their DPS and then go to their tanks. So because you have your turret, because you have your ultimate, and because at close range your shotgun does so well against tanks, you have a lot of tank shred in your kit. You're going to be a solid front-to-back fighter, and this is how you should approach most team fights. Secondly, if you can get partnered up with a rocket, oh my gosh, it's fantastic. You can daisy chain all of these things together. Your turret, your ultimate, rocket's ultimate, his infinite ammo, and just have constant pressure and constant tank shred. I like Punisher as opposed to like Soldier 76 in Overwatch. Soldier 76 had no solutions for tanks, even though he was meant to be a front-to-back fighter, which made him a little bit weak. Punisher, on the contrary, is a lot more suited for his role in this game. The third thing I want to talk about when you're going from a wide view is that you're a hit scan champion, which means that your damage has no travel time. As soon as you click, it damages the target. So this makes you really good at shooting down flying champions, and it means that you're really versatile. Overall, Punisher is an extremely versatile champion. He's good against tanks, he's not bad against the back-to-front players. He's got multiple effective ranges when you consider his AR, his shotgun, and his ultimate, and his turret, and he's got good movement with his zipline and his smoke. So here's the difference. A little over a week ago, my girlfriend was button mashing in close quarters combat that may or may not have been related to the objective. 1 week later, and she's top fragging, she's objective focused, and this is all just because of a little bit of focus on her turret usage, predetermined setups for her zip lines, and a little bit of cooldown discipline. Most importantly, staying with the team. Let's rapid fire recap some of the biggest mistakes that we caught. 1. Not placing her turret often enough or aggressive enough. You need to be able to see the objective and see the enemy team. Your turret is almost all of your damage. You're gonna want to be using it as much as possible. 2. Wasting time between fights. When there's a lull in combat, you need to use that time to reset your cooldowns and to reposition yourself. Number 3 was wandering into random alleys, getting sidetracked in these routes and engaging in a 1v1 with an Iron Man in a random hallway. As cinematic as that might be, it's not the right call to win the game. And the fourth thing was dying without your healers. When you're getting pushed by the enemy team, it's really tempting to like retreat and fall back. But it's so fitting how his kit works out. You need to dig your heals in. You need to push forward, set up your turret, and shoot back. Make sure you're staying behind your tanks and in front of your healers so you can get that sweet, sweet healing. Guys, if I told you, you would not believe the unimaginable amount of work that goes into making these videos. Hopefully, if these videos got you out of bronze, please feel free to comment. I'm happy to hear it. And if you think that I've earned your subscription over the last 10 minutes, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Good luck with your life.